Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. Mike here, and I know that this feels weird. I feel a little bit strange too, but it's going to be okay. This is the only way I could end up getting this video done because I'm working 24 hours the next 2 days. And this darkness and weirdness totally fits with the video we're about to do. So why is Nocturnal Animals a perfect movie? To me, it's a perfect movie because it does one thing that almost no other movie does. This movie to me is like Johnny Cash. I know that sounds fucked up and weird, but just follow me. Johnny Cash is a guy who dresses all in black. He seems like a dark guy. He's just got that look to him. And he looks cool, you know? And you see somebody like that, and you automatically think that person's really deep, you know, or they've got some sort of edge to them, or they've got some sort of coolness to them. And then 99.9% of the time, you would meet that person, and they'd be full of shit, or they would just be weird, or whatever. And movies are typically the same way. Sort of the Nicholas Winding Refn situation, whereas Only God Forgives looks amazing. It's very artistic, but you just sniff it. You can smell it from far away that there's some highfalutin, fancy smancy, whatever the fuck going on here. Johnny Cash was like legit. Like he had something real to say that applied to real people's lives. He looked cool as shit. He was a cool guy. Like he was just the entire package. He was dark. There was a lot of shit to him. He was extremely artistic, and didn't seem like he was 1 ounce full of shit. And that's how I feel about this movie. This movie does the artsy thing. It does the Winding Refn thing. Right? It does all this stuff. I mean, the movie opens up with obese women, butt naked. I'm talking tops and bottoms, the whole package, just dancing with showing all their shit for like 3 minutes. And, you know, initially you're like, oh, here we go with some over the top shit. I mean, this movie's directed by a fashion designer guy, Tom Ford. And you just think, okay, we're in for an artsy, fartsy, smancy movie with a whole lot of symbolism and imagery, and that probably won't go anywhere that great. And it just does the complete opposite. Everything in this movie matters. Everything's coherent. There's emotion there. There's a lot of anchoring of what's actually happening on the screen. There's deep and dark characters, but they all have perfectly drawn out characters to where they have a reason to be every way that they are. There's no bullshit. And that's what I love so much about it. You've got Jake Gyllenhaal's character. He's been screwed over by Amy Adams' character, and he writes a book years later. The book's really violent, and it's got a lot of bad shit on it, and the movie shows you what's going on in the book as well. It kind of interchecks the real time with what's happening in the book. And the editing has to be fantastic for that, and it is. Whereas that stuff comes in and the darkness of the movie, it feels very, very 90s, where these movies, these original stories would come out in the 90s a lot. And we don't get movies like that much today because everything's got to be tied to a comic book and whatever. But this is one of those original stories, and it felt like the movie To Die For with Nicole Kidman at times, but way better. Like, To Die For had a million problems underneath its cool surface and all the crazy wacko wild shit that was going on in it. There's always some faulty thing in these movies that you're like, oh, that was really cool and gnarly for a few minutes till they had to explain it or until they chose this terrible plot point. Nothing like that happens in Nocturnal Animals. You just tie together what happened to him and the book that he wrote, and it's devastating and crazy. Michael Shannon plays a cop in the book. Michael Shannon's so fucking good that watching him, I laugh. Like, I'm laughing watching him on screen because he's so perfect. His mannerisms, everything he does, that dude is one of the best actors of all time. Jake Gyllenhaal's so fucking good. I mean, how many Oscars can you give the guy? I don't even know how many he has, but I know he deserves a bunch. Like, he is actually very reserved through a lot of this movie because his character goes through so much shit that it'd be really easy. He'd have to be completely devastated, scream crying and breaking shit for the entire 2-hour running time of this movie for him not to be reserved. And then when he finally does let a lot of emotion out, it's really, really intense. The story, the reason it lands and ends up being perfect for me is when things wrap up here, you're wondering, where are we going to go? There's so much happening in the movie, you expect it to fall out at some point. You expect for them to take a plot twist or take a risk or to go to a certain place. And at some point in this movie, it completely makes you forget all that. As someone who watches a lot of movies, you can sit here and go, I'm either going to guess where it's going to go or I'm going to guess 2 or 3 different places it could go. The movie that's happening on screen is so intense and has got so much going on and it's so well made and so stunning just to look at that you forget all the places it could possibly go. And you almost just assume, because everything's been so good, it's going to take you someplace crazy. And what it does is it just but by the time the credits come up, you take a step back and you say, holy shit, they didn't cop out at any point. There's no cop out, there's no anything. They tell an entire coherent story with a satisfying ending with a billion things happening in it, and they didn't have to pull some bullshit jump out from behind the curtains twist or anything. They didn't have to do a cop out. They didn't have to tell a different kind of story. They went with their storyline. They told a straightforward storyline and added so much to it that it felt almost wrong when it ended. And when you look back on it, it's like everything turned out perfectly. But definitely go see this movie. It's not 1 ounce full of shit. It's got a lot of artsy stuff in it. The movie looks great, but it's not there in place of anything else. It's not one of those movies that you go, man, that movie looked awesome, but it was fucking stupid and it was just way out there. And oh, look, I'm fucking weird and crazy. This movie's not. This movie tells a dramatic story, and it doesn't try to get highfalutin about stuff. Sure, the visuals and stuff are there, but it just tells you the story how it is. It doesn't need tricks. And you got to appreciate the shit out of that. It's an absolutely perfect movie from beginning to end. I give the movie a 10 out of 10, and I think I got to go back and look just to be sure, but I'm 99% sure this is my favorite movie of 2016. Comment down below if you've seen it. Let me know why you think I'm wrong, if you think I am, and if you haven't seen it, please go see Nocturnal Animals. Love your fucking faces. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some goddamn wham up in you.
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie.